Good afternoon, everyone. The most ridiculous, babiculous headline you've ever seen come across the newswire. Planet at the hottest level in 115,000 years. James Hansen, this video is going out to debunk what you just said. Even in the last 10,000 years, it's been warmer than today. If it was the warmest in 115,000 years, there would be zero ice, and you can clearly see in the last 3,500 years there's been ice. The ice is increasing in the Arctic. The Southern Ocean remains stable. And NOAA coming out with extraordinary global heat. Isn't it convenient they forgot to add in the Southern Ocean, so I did it for you. Look at the blue at the bottom. That would have skewed the entire global data set cooler, so they didn't add it in. And you wonder why in Geneva, the Swiss dumped the Green Initiative, why 72% of Americans don't believe in global warming, and also 61% of Australians don't. And if you didn't hear about it, the secret hush-hush rush-through of the climate deal, with the spin on top that the reduction of CO2 is going to stop the major hurricanes. And please remember to subscribe to Adapt 2030. One of the most shocking headlines you'll ever see. And I really can't even believe that news media would print this. The planet is at the hottest level in 115,000 years? James Hansen, where are you getting your information from? You shouldn't even be a NASA scientist when you're putting out this kind of falsehoods for everybody to see. That's pure fraud. Let's look at the data, starting with the cost of this program at $104 trillion to $570 trillion, which, the global citizens will try to be forced into paying for at least part of it. James, I would like you to look at the GISP2 ice core data, which everybody uses as a reconstruction for temperature from Greenland. It has been warmer in the last 10,000 years than today. Strike one. Also, as you can see, over 3,500 years of Arctic sea ice data, we're right in the median range of where it should be at the top and the bottom. If we were at a 115,000 year heating cycle, we'd be so far off that chart and there would be no ice anywhere. Strike two. If it's 115,000 year warming, how can Arctic sea ice be rebounding at the greatest level ever seen since the satellite data era began? Strike three. If it's 115,000 year warming, how can the Southern Oceans remain stable along with the Antarctic sea ice and Antarctic sheets themselves on land? Strike four. Also, this information has been suppressed. IPCC lead author Josefino Cosmio tries to suppress the information that the Antarctic is slightly cooling. That's strike five. It can't be cooling and warming at 115,000 year period of time. Let's take a deeper look at that last 10,000 years. Minoan warming, Holocene warming, Roman warming, medieval warming have all been backed up and corroborated with ice core data to show that it's actually cooler today than it has been in those periods in the past. James, that's strike six. And on the same chart, one massive thorn in the side is, how did that gargantuan warming happen coming out of the younger Dryas period? They never ever want to talk about that because it warmed 20 degrees Celsius in a century. Younger Dryas, Youngerdrys. Jumping over to Antarctic temperatures over the last 400,000 years using Vostok ice core temperature data. A, notice right away we're at the coolest over the interglacials over the last 4 interglacials. And B, it's nice and tricky how you use that 100,000 year mark to just start it right where it cooled after the last interglacial to try to mark it up and say 115,000 years. Not buying it. These two purple lines is exactly what I'm talking about. Notice where the drop-off is, where James conveniently starts his 115,000 year temperature count. In the middle of a full-blown ice age, full glaciation, 2-mile thick deep ice over Chicago, And that's where he starts his data set. Of course it's going to be warmer today. We're not in a full-blown ice age. And James, after presenting this information, you should not be working for NASA. That is pure manipulation, pure fraud. And I can't believe that they're even allowing you to put this in the news media. You need to write a retraction and apologize for lying to the public. Period. And the 11 scientists with you as well. They should all be defunded for fraud. Jumping over to NOAA data. A very carefully manipulated data set here. Extraordinary global heat continues. But I would like to point out the southern oceans across Antarctica. They don't add that into the data model, but here's the southern oceans for you. You can see how far below normal it is, especially around Australia at -5°C over the normal temperatures. And if they were to indeed add that into the full data set, we wouldn't be showing any more than 0.4 of a degree warming. And to back that up, September UAH global temperature updates from Dr. Roy Spencer, 0.44. And when we even look at shorter time frames from 1999 until today, if we draw that black line at the temperature we currently are, that there's been times in the last 15 years that it's been warmer than today. And if you're more of a numbers person, I have the full data set right here for you from 2015 in January all the way down through September. It does not show runaway global warming as you've been told. And this is the reason that in Geneva, the Swiss have dumped the Green Initiative. You know, they see through the lies. Anybody in Switzerland listening, thank you for calling them out on their deceit and not agreeing with this and going your own direction and saving your own economy. And then when we see 72% of Americans don't believe the consensus on climate change, and then we go down to Australia and 61% of their population also doesn't agree, especially with the record cold, snows, all-time storms coming through down there. It's time that we as citizens on this planet look at these numbers. They're well over 50%. We need to just come together, and every time they make a false, bogus claim, whether it's your local weather station or whether it's a national institution, call them on it. Literally, write them a letter, write them an email, or make a phone call and say, this is incorrect. You need to update your data because what you're giving out is fraudulent. And if we get hundreds of thousands and millions of people to do this, they're going to have to quickly change the tone at which they give out this false information. And if you hadn't seen, they snuck through the new climate deal a month ahead of time because they were so worried about Donald Trump coming in that they had meetings to push through the new climate deal. And you know what they say? With the new climate deal, they're going to be able to mitigate hurricanes on this planet. Decrease CO2 by a couple pips, and suddenly hurricanes are going to be under control. That is such a natural system of wind circulation on our planet up 100 miles. Just this alone, this news article alone should wake you up to the fraud that's being perpetrated upon you daily in front of your eyes. This is not humanly possible to control hurricanes by reducing CO2. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of the video. It's time for all of us to come together because the power is truly in the people. When we all work together to call them out on their lies, it's going to stop. And these people should be defunded. And we should use that money for greater causes on our planet. Feed the homeless, education. There's so many other things that we could do to help us all. You need to be reaching out to your policymakers and sending them information like this, which I've linked below. And as always, to keep your body healthy as we get into this grand solar minimum, jump over to getthetea.com and really delve in and see what your body needs in terms of nutrients, micronutrients, minerals, etc., when some foods are going to be taken away from the food chain supply. And remember to subscribe to my station, and I'll keep stories like this coming to you.